Welcome back to Chris and Retro. It's been a while since I posted a video. I'm back on here. Hopefully, I'll be able to get more frequent. I've been pretty frequent on the TikTok platform, so please check out some of the material that I have over there. You'll find that they're more short bit, inspirational type things. But on this platform, I want to make sure that I'm getting more content out than I have recently. So thank you for being patient with me. And as you see some of the content develop, I think you'll be more clear on where I've been. Tonight's video, I'm going to talk about a pretty troubling news story that's come out recently over the last week or so. I think it broke, and it kind of finally came to a resolution, I think, on Tuesday of this week. But it's under the auspices of corruption, really. From personal experience, I realized that really, no matter which side of the fence you're on, whether you're on law enforcement or you're on, some other agency, or you're, a quote unquote regular civilian, we all get sideways from time to time. We all have the ability to get sideways from time to time and cause ourselves some problems. And it really doesn't matter where, you're standing in as life. Total collapse is closer than it appears if you're living a high risk situation. And the story tonight certainly illustrates that. Over the next few videos, I probably will be getting into a few examples of this and through different agencies. And it's not really to come across and exonerate anybody that's having criminal behavior on the civilian side or anything that comes up that people deserve justice over. But what I want to do is highlight the fact that it's not just us. I think, and what I'm hoping to do is point out that sometimes some of the penalty measures that are taken out on people, especially people that have addiction issues, are more extreme because they're labeled as addicts, rather than if they were labeled as a law enforcement officer, they might be treated a little softer. So through the next few stories, I'm hoping that, I can illustrate some of this, and I'm definitely not crapping on cops or crapping on anything else. I'm trying to show that there's some balance here to say, look, you can't just go after people and call, put both barrels after a junkie, quote unquote junkie, and not do the same thing for law enforcement or a CPS worker. We had a CPS worker I found out recently was a child molester and was one of these investigators going into people's home, or a caseworker. The double standard is astonishing to me in situations like that. I face it with the Department of Motor Vehicles. While the penalties and the legal aspects of my history have been satisfied, and the courts have given me grace and opportunity to bring my life back, but yet the DMV can operate a completely separate set of rules and with no governance. CPS can operate with no governance. Many times I feel like law enforcement had no governance, and now there seems like there's more governance over them. Even EMTs don't really have governance over how they treat an addict and how and the attitudes and stuff around there. Now, I do accept the fact there's exhaustion with ongoing things that is tough when you're a first responder. However, I think that part of the maturity of being in that role and the skill set is that you can take the volume of things that you face and still treat individuals as individuals. So with all that, I want to get into this story. So I'll share the video. I'll share the story now. You may have seen this man on the news. I don't know how to say his last name. It's Elias. I think it's, Elias Huizar. But Elias anyway. Elias has a pretty interesting background. First of all, he was a law enforcement officer, and he had entered into a relationship with what appeared, based on my math, probably 15 years old at the time, a 15-year-old young woman. He had a wife with 2 kids. He had a history where he got himself in some trouble, where he was got 2 teenagers drunk in February. And one of them woke up finding him performing a sex act on the other one, and he got in trouble for that and was out on bail for $250,000. He had a bail. He was out on bail for that. So that he had already had previous problems where all this behavior with minors was starting to come out. So the guy's a child molester, no 2 ways about it. And then that compromise and him acting on those desires led to a pregnancy. So the 17-year-old had a child with him, and the child was 1. So if you do the math back, that she must have been 15 or 16 years old when she got pregnant. So now he has a child with this 17-year-old. And so this led to all these choices that led him down this road. This law enforcement officer got himself in a ton of trouble. And now he's down this road as a child molester, and has a child with the child that he molested. And that leads him to this place where he's decided to make some horrible decisions over the last, several weeks. So he first shot and killed the 17-year-old and took her life, the mother of his 1-year-old. Then he took the 1-year-old and kidnapped the 1-year-old. And as I understand it, went to the school of the mother of his other two children and shot and killed her. So now three children have no mom because this ex law enforcement officer was trying to cover his tracks. I'm not sure what he thought tracks he was covering by going out and shooting women, but evidently he thought he was covering his tracks. He then proceeds to go on a high speed chase from the state police and wipes out the first time and gets exchanges gunfire with the police. This 1 year old is in the car while this is going on. He gets the car back going again, gets down the road and gets stuck in a median. Police start to engage the vehicle. He puts a gun to his head and shoots himself and kills himself. 1 year old's in the car. Now, the thing that's troubling to me, there's so many things about this that are so baffling to me and so troubling. But there's a statement in this article. Um, they had considered him armed and dangerous. He's in Portland area. I'm trying to think where he said it. Um, it doesn't indicate. So there was something in here that said basically they said it um, turned out kind of as expected. Like it's a good thing that this 1 year old experienced all this stuff. Now my stepdaughter went through a traumatic experience when before she was born. It was 1 month before she was born. Her father was shot and killed, and her mother was shot twice while she was in her stomach, and so there was an impact on her even not born yet in that shooting. So what is the experiences where all the senses are there for a 1 year old and the impact it has on her? So that little statement really irritated me that they felt like it turned out for the best the way it turned out because the 1 year old was quote unquote safe. So here's another thing I want to get into, and I'm going to get into a few rabbit trails, and maybe it's just lack of skill from not doing these videos for a while, but I'll try to keep it an essential thought. But we've got this idea that of what safety is for children. It is physical. It is mental health too, though. And the impact in terms of how they're being quote unquote rescued can also cause them damage. A shootout with a 1 year old, I can't even imagine why that would be a good idea. Yes, of course, he's making bad decisions, but returning fire in that scenario makes no sense to me whatsoever. Keep your distance. High speed chases with motorcycles, they let go. Find a better way to go after the situation. The other thing too is that these threats of removing kids from the home all the time under the guise of doing the right thing for them. Now, there are extreme cases where children should absolutely be removed from the home, but there's also situations where the home should be intervened with programs and things like that to make it a better place because we have generational issues with addiction now. So the parents of addicts had a bad situation with their kids and probably caused some problems. Now those parents are going to cause some issues for their kids and so on and so forth. We have 117,000 overdose deaths last year, 111,000 the year before that. I think it was 101 before it, 90 before that, and 70 before that. As you can imagine, it's climbing. Overdose deaths are climbing. And the only prevention that I can see is with children. We got to get ahead of this before the choices are made. So how much worse are we making it by causing more damage with them by removing them from their homes and what they know rather than going to the home and intervening in those circumstances? Now, I did go a little bit of a rabbit trail here because I have a situation that I'm aware of that is, threatening a home that really makes no sense why the home is even being threatened to remove children, but it's because it's protocol and it's for the kids. Well, here's another situation where a kid is now in trouble, and now three kids actually are in trouble because this man had two children with another woman. Other than the fact I think he's an absolute scumbag monster all across the board. All across the board. I don't know how the man is still living candidly, having raped two teenage girls so blatantly. And then to the point that he's had a child with one and nobody even questioned it. That is baffling to me how it took so long to bring him to justice for that. And the fact that he was out to even have this happen in the first place is just really troubling to me. And I have to think that it's because of his law enforcement history that he probably got some special privilege for it. Because I can tell you that if I had done that, there's no chance I'm free. No chance I'm free. But if I have certain histories, then I get a little bit of a wink, wink grace. And I think that's disgusting. So we have this. I think it's another example of where are our kids safe and what do we actually do to help them? Well, I think as parents, we have to recognize that pretty much everywhere, I cited a CPS worker in our county. Now we've got this law enforcement officer here. You go on Google right now and go through and search the number of cases across this country that are reported on. Nonetheless, all the ones that are not reported on, we are in a predatory world. And the only way that our kids are going to be safe is as parents, we lock it in with our own situations and our own homes to get ahead of these predators that are going after these kids. I'm not sure what the solution is. I think it's a baffling situation, especially when you look at the people that are preying on our kids are people that are supposed to be trusted. It's got so now when I was a child, they always said that if you felt like there's a man around there making you uncomfortable, run to a woman, because the notion was is that motherly instinct would kick in. Well, now that's not really the case. You know, a lot of young women get into prostitution because they're groomed by other women. They're made to feel safe, like this woman is making them feel safe, and all the while, they're actually putting themselves in the crosshairs of living a life that they may not have ever seen themselves getting into. We got a lot on our plate right now with kids. We got a lot of work to do. There's so much impacting their lives. There's so much that we should be taking on to do what we can do to help them with it, help them out. And I don't know that I have all the answers. What I do know is that we need to be diligent. There's not one person that's surrounding us that we shouldn't at least consider what their role is in our kids' lives. Everything from soccer coaches to law enforcement officers to EMT people to school teachers to preachers to neighbors. It doesn't matter. I mean, pay attention. Honestly, go to Walmart sometime and just be observant. Not even with your kids. Just go to Walmart sometime and watch how certain men look at certain women. Blatantly. It's absolutely predatory. We are in a world that thinks that we should be able to just take what we want to take when it comes to other people's. And it's just disgusting to me. And I'm not really sure what we do to solve it, like I said, except for the fact that control and own our own story, what it is that we're doing to be involved in it. And when we're protecting our children with our very rigorously, this is a full contact sport, protecting our children. A sport, I say, full contact exercise. This is not touch football. We have to be diligent. We cannot afford to be lazy. Guys, I appreciate you guys tuning in. This probably is a little bit heavier subject to start back on my content, but it was a subject that I was just kind of looking at, like, how does this happen? How does a cop rape teenagers, have a kid with one, then go back and kill that teenager, and then go kill the mom and leave 3 kids with no parents, and then go blow his own stinking head off? First of all, it shows how selfish he was, but what broke down that all happened? There's so many different intervention scenarios, and the only time it was intervened with was a 1-year-old in a car in a shootout. Where were the rest of the interventions? The guy's obviously a predator. I've never been to prison, but I look at JD DeLay and I look at Chad Mark and Jump Street Pablo and Mitch Smiley, and I hear their stories, and it sounds to me like justice would have been served on this man inside of prison more so than it was out in the street. It's pretty sad that justice is more prevalent for this type of behavior in prison than it is in a law-abiding society. We should consider that. We got to hold accountable these men. We've got to, and I'm not saying go out and kill people. What I'm saying is hold them accountable. Shine light in the dark corners that they're hiding in. Bring them to justice, to law enforcement. Expose their nonsense. If you're a victim, speak of it. Go to somebody that'll speak of it on your behalf. Don't allow this continue. We've got to course correct this behavior because it is getting out of control. It has been out of control for a long time. But when you have a cop so brazenly doing this, it tells you where our society is at. We've stopped caring. Our shock has gone away. We should really start being shocked again. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. I really appreciate the support of the channel. Please like and subscribe and comment. Check out the TikTok as well. Completely different setup of content. I do some daily journals on there, little shorts, and but I do a lot of memes. It's mostly just like inspirational quotes and stuff like that, and memes to music. And I hope that's something that you enjoy. But check it out. Like I said, it's a different platform. I'm also on Instagram. Instagram's largely the same thing as TikTok in terms of the content that I put on there. But appreciate your support of the channel. Please keep tuning back in. I'll try to make sure I'm bringing out more content that's relevant and something that you can enjoy. If you got feedback, by all means, send it along. Comment in the videos, and I appreciate everything that you guys are doing to support what I'm trying to do here and get my message out. Between now and the next time we talk, please stay out of trouble.